Hey everybody, and welcome back to Investment Honey, where we talk about various crypto projects. Before we begin, as always, a couple of reminders. I'm not your financial advisor, and we never provide any investment advice on the channel ever. So with that said, as always, if you're new, thanks for joining. I'd encourage you to go back to day one of the video series here on Dexscreener, just to go ahead and get some introductions out of the way, and to make sure that you understand just kind of how things are going to flow as we go through the video content. If you're somebody that's been with us since the beginning, or you somehow joined us along the way, thanks so much for continuing to support the channel and the series as we continue to discover new and early opportunities of tokens before they pump, here through the Dexscreener series. So with that said, we got some review today. We didn't go through any review yesterday because we really didn't have much to review. So when we don't have a whole lot going on, typically I just like to go ahead and go into discovery like we did yesterday. But we do have some things I want to talk about today. So with that being said, let's start out with ZKGPT. We've talked about this one, several times, here on the channel, or not on the channel, but, here on, in the Dexscreener series. I want to point out the last time we talked about this one, we were sitting at 609K on the market cap. And we talked about this one when it was, higher up in this area. So just continue to keep an eye on it because, watching the guy that launches or that kind of handles the incubations, behind some of these tokens, typically I tend to see, consistent progress in terms of, upward movement. So, with these particular tokens that are launched through that incubator. But with that being said, this one did go ahead and go into some retracement, and then obviously we started to see some buy pressure pick back up here. And you can see this screenshot is just through the video, the last video that was done where we went through some review. I think that was back on the 3rd. So if you want to go and check out that video, you're more than welcome to go ahead and do that. So that video would have been a couple of days ago. But again, we were at 609K. And then that screenshot that you just saw a little bit ago was showing you that we did touch a peak, at over 1.4 million. So obviously some pretty good movement, on that token, from these areas, of retracement, where it really did, start to move, which is exactly what we want to see, right? We want to get into these tokens early, and we want to see, them actually, move after our position, right? So, and this is another example, and we've had several examples, of where this has happened, throughout this series already. I've been covering this, for just under 30 days, so I think maybe this is like day 25 or day 26, something like that. But either way, there's been a lot of things that we've covered, already where we've seen tokens, take off, after covering them in the video content. So this is yet another example of that. And then we can currently see where the chart is at, right now. So we're still keeping that 1.4 million level. What I would guess is that we might see some retracement, but I don't think that this token is done yet. I think that it's going to probably, make some attempt, for another leg up, on this token. But, again, I can't tell you with any certainty, and I never try to tell you with any certainty what a chart can do because that's just not how I operate. But, like I said, my best guess is that we'll probably see some retracement, especially here, early in the week. We're at a Sunday. I think it's encouraging that for Sunday, it's actually, held up pretty well. A lot of times, on your weekends, we tend to see some retracement on a lot of tokens across the board. But this has been one of the exceptions. And as always, there are always outliers as far as, what tokens do and what I see in terms of trading patterns. Whether it's a weekend or going through the week, so again, just keep in mind, as far as what I'm seeing here on the chart, it's holding up pretty well, for a Sunday. Monday isn't typically a heavy trading day in terms of, seeing tokens kind of break out and whatnot. So either this will hold or it will trace, in my personal opinion, and then they may make some attempt to try to move for another leg. But again, like I said, always that caveat that I don't know for sure. And I'm never going to tell you that I know with absolute certainty what anything's going to do. I can just go ahead and tell you the patterns and, what I think. So, it's always going to be your choice as to how you choose to proceed. So that's going to go ahead and do it in terms of covering, ZKGPT. Just, wanted to go ahead and show you those screenshots in the current chart. Here on Riders, this is that Matt Fury's token that we talked about, a couple of times before now. And, again, this is another screenshot taken from a video, where we had talked about this previously. It was at 634, and this was already up from, the original time when we found it initially, so it had already made some gains, here at 634. on the market cap. And then, right now we can see, where it currently is. So keep in mind, this screenshot was from a couple of days ago, right? So this is from the same video, as far as, just like the one when I talked about ZKGPT. So we covered this one again. You cover this one as well, on the 3rd, which is a couple of days ago from the time of recording this video. And you can see that this is currently over 4.4 million. Okay. And that's not even the high. So it's still, almost close to the high, because we can see that little, bit of a wick, right here. But you can see that this one obviously did take off, so, 630s, 630K, somewhere around that area, moving up to 4.4. I mean, that's some pretty decent, movement. And again, the 634K is not even where we talked about it initially. We had actually talked about this before that. So again, yet another example of what this series is all about. And that is to highlight, identify, potential opportunities, some early tokens, and everything's being done through the Dexscreener platform to find early opportunities before any kind of, influencer or coal is going to go and show it to their community first before you find out about it, which is usually going to be late, in terms of any notifications, unless you got some insider information, so, so again, it's always great to be able to see that, what we're trying to do in the series is exactly, being identified, here in review that we do here throughout the series. So just wanted to point out riders for you to go ahead and let you see that this is yet another example of that. And then being AI, this is one that I pointed out yesterday. I think I found it, around, what was it? It was under 600K, because when I went ahead and I posted it to the Crimson Skull's main Telegram channel, it was under 600K. So, and then this one, obviously you can see here, went over 3 million yesterday. So again, pretty decent gains, on this one. Got into it early. It would have been nice to go ahead and find it even earlier than, sub 600K, but again, found it when I found it. And that was again through Dexscreener. So this wasn't one that we had talked about previously, before I went ahead and told you about it yesterday. But, I'm always, trying to go ahead and navigate Dexscreener to go ahead and find new opportunities. And so this is one that I thought looked pretty interesting and had some, steady volume, coming into it, and thought I'd go ahead and, put it on the main Telegram channel, and like I said, it actually did retrace. I think it retraced down to like, the 320K level. And then out of nowhere, it just kind of shot up. So it shot up here, it retraced some more, and then it shot up again. So, sometimes even when you see retracement on some of these tokens, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily, over. And I actually took an entry, into this one. And so, even when I think I was down, you can either take that as an opportunity to go ahead and DCA, or you can just kind of write it out and see what the chart's going to do. So for me, I didn't DCA, down, but at the end of the day, there were still gains on this one. So keep that in mind, and the current chart on this one right now. So you can see that here at the high, somewhere around here, it did go ahead and retrace. There's still some buying going on here. Do I think this one's totally done? I don't. You got to think, if we found this one under 600K and we're still sitting, around 1.4 million. I think that and there have been no massive dumps on this one yet. So I'm not so certain that this is going to die out just yet. I think that considering it's held, a pretty decent level, even though we expected retracement. I mean, you had a pretty big buy candle, buy activity here. Yeah, pretty good, buy activity here. We know that when that happens, there's always going to be retracement, so I don't really see this as being, a red flag to me whatsoever, because again, anytime there's big buys and you reach the peak of a chart, you're going to see retracement. That if there's anything I can tell you with absolute certainty, I don't go ahead and make a lot of certain, or absolute claims on a lot of stuff, but if there's anything I can tell you with absolute certainty is that anytime you see peaks on the chart, you are going to see retracement. So that I can tell you in absolute confidence. So, seeing this retracement here, and then you get some buy activity, you see the retracement, then you get a little bit of buy activity. And even here with this wick right here, where you can kind of see it right here in red, you're still seeing some buys. And we can see that also reflected here in the buy transaction area. So again, do I think this is going to retrace further? I mean, 50-50. I mean, it could go ahead and come down some more, but I don't think this has run out of gas yet. Now, again, I say that with, the caveat here is, I don't know, okay? I don't know if it's going to be done or not. All I can tell you is just based on, having looked at a bunch of charts, over time. I'm not so certain that this one's, down and out yet. So I'm willing to go ahead and still stay in this one and see if it, heads back up for another leg, but this is what I'm going to continue to watch. So if we do see that it triggers another alert, and we'll go ahead and we'll adjust the alerts, here while I'm covering the content here. If it triggers, great, but we're going to go ahead and set one for an under. We're going to set one for an upper just to go ahead and see what it does. And if you happen to be, in this token, or you're thinking about maybe taking a position, and obviously on this channel, we never encourage you to invest, but we know you're engaging with crypto related content, so you're probably going to anyway. So still have to go ahead and put that disclaimer out there that, again, you have the option to go ahead and, throw in a small buy. You can always go ahead and use the dip buy, function of Maestro. I always go ahead and talk about this, that Maestro is the bot that I encourage anybody that's going to trade to go ahead and use. I mean, I've used, several bots, and so Maestro seems to be the one that hasn't really had, it's performed very consistently, for me, and I think it's pretty quick, as well. So that's the reason why I leave the links, in the description for anybody that wants to engage, with one of those bots. But, like I said, we'll take a look at the alerts, but, that buy dip function is very, very, very good, especially if you just go ahead and throw maybe a few bucks on the chart. If you think it's going to go down, then you can go ahead and have it trigger at whatever threshold you set it for, so that it can go ahead and perform that, and you don't have to babysit the chart. The bot will do it for you. So, and for anybody new, if it seems like I'm talking kind of quick, you always have the benefit, because it's a video, to go back and go over whatever I said, just so you can kind of, let this stuff kind of, wrap your head around, what I'm talking about. But we're going to take a look here at the alerts. And so we've got both these did trigger. We can see that, here with disabled. We can see it here with disabled. So we're currently sitting at 1.4, right? So let's go ahead and let's set our under. Okay, and we also have to adjust the posted market cap. So we're going to set that at 1.4 million. So if you're new, we go ahead and use the note area to go ahead and set up our posted market cap. If you're somebody who's been following for a while, you already know what we do. So make sure that if you're copying alerts, go ahead and do the same thing. If you're setting different alerts, that's up to you, and that's your discretion as well. But 1.4 million, let's go ahead and let's set this at $1 million. If it's going to retrace, I think if there's going to be a correction on this, I think it's going to be a pretty, decent correction. So, and obviously we've already seen one, obviously, from the 3 million area, all the way down to 1.4. So that's, basically 1.5 million correction, or a little bit more. So could it correct some more? I mean, maybe, but we'll see. And so this one's active now, as we can see it indicated here that the under alert is now active. And then we're going to go to the over. So let's go ahead and let's adjust this here. All right. So, and then for the over, let's go ahead and let's set this one at, what our indicator will be at 1 point. Let's make it 1.6. Okay. So I remember I can't do that. Can't use letters in this area, guys. 1, 2, 3. You can use it in the notes, but you can't use it in this area. And sometimes I forget that. So the over is already set. So we'll see if any of those alerts do trigger. All right. So, but like I said, what I would guess is that this is probably going to retrace a little bit more. But I am encouraged to see that even in all the retracement, all these candles, what do you continue to see? You continue to see buys. So all these little wicks, under the blocks, those are all buys, buying up the sells. So like I said, I'm encouraged to go ahead and see that there is still buy pressure, at these levels, even though there's been some retracement, from their high. So we're going to go ahead and close this one out. But like I said, I'm encouraged to see, that from the time that one was posted, that there was, some movement. And that's just another example of what's being done here in the series, is that we're finding stuff early and trying to go ahead and get in before there's any kind of pump on the chart. All right, so with that said, that's going to go ahead and do it as far as the review portion of the video is concerned. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and head into the discovery, so we can see we got all this stuff going on. You guys know that, especially if you've been watching this series for any amount of time, that I like to go ahead and adjust this. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and click on the gear here. We're going to adjust the things that we don't want to see. So we're going to get rid of price, transactions, volume, makers. We're going to keep all the time slots, 5 minute, 1 hour, 6 hour, and 24 hour. We're going to get rid of the liquidity, and we're going to keep market cap. So we're going to click apply. So there we go. We can see that the view has now changed, and this is all the stuff that I want to see. Now, if you want to go ahead and keep stuff in your own view, maybe that I don't have in mind, that's fine. But I tend to find that as far as the other stuff, I don't really need it. So now, looking at filters, you know what, before we do that, we don't always go ahead and talk about the main page here. So right now this is unfiltered. The only thing I've changed is my configuration in terms of the information that I'm seeing. So we'll go ahead and we'll just open up, some of these, just to go ahead and see what's kind of going on here. We'll go ahead and we'll take the 24-hour just so we can sort by the tokens with the largest gains. Keep in mind, anytime you're on the main screen for Dexscreener, you're not seeing anything that's filtered. We haven't set any filters here. Liquidity, there's a value here for that, but that's by default, okay? But nothing else is there. So you can see, oops, if I go back, nothing else, okay? So, and this means that we're also going to see every chain, okay? So we're going to see Solana, we're going to see Ethereum, we're going to see Base, we're going to see BSC, we're going to see Sway or Silly, whatever, however you call it. You're going to see everything here, okay? So, and not, like I said, no filters, so a lot of times, since we go and we start from the top, we can go ahead and start from the bottom, but why would I want to go and start with something like this? Because they're already down 90%, the 24-hour, even though we see that they're up 15% in the last 5 minutes, but that doesn't really, tell me that this is really going to have a chance to go ahead and move back up. But keep in mind, when you do see stuff like that, it could be an indicator, right? Could be. So, we can open it up. Anything that you see here with a Thunderbolt means that they're boosting the token. That means they're trying to go ahead and get additional exposure for the token. But, when you see a token that's down 90% in the last 24 hours, any buys could also be meant, used for exit liquidity, so I don't expect to really see a good chart here, but we'll open it up just to go ahead and see what's going on there. So this is called the chosen one. And so we can see, we had somebody that, essentially this looks like a rug, at this point, and you can see that little bit of a wick, here in terms of the buys. But like I said, anybody that didn't get out in regards to this big sell candle, just like, you see here, a pretty big sell of $708, so if you're buying in, after essentially what looks like a rug, more than likely it's going to be a tough climb back up, right? Because essentially any buys that are coming in, it's going to be people, and I've talked about this before, trying to mitigate their losses, so again, you're essentially exit liquidity. So when we talk about, and we don't typically look at tokens like this, guys, so if you're brand new, just understand I'm only pointing this out just because of what we saw on the main screen, that, if you see a token that is down 90%, keep in mind, you're typically not going to be, coming into a situation where you're going to be making a lot of gains, because there's going to be a lot of people that didn't get out when they, at an earlier position, on the chart. And so any buys, they're going to go be using that. Even if they're down 90%, they're going to be looking at buys like, hey, well, if I'm down 70 or 80%, that's better. These are recouping some of my funds. So, I would not, I wouldn't recommend, targeting those kind of charts unless you're just literally looking to go ahead and hopefully DCA up and putting in, very, very little bit of money. And you think that there's a bullish sentiment in regards to it. Maybe some whale just went ahead and decided to dump, but there's still a possibility, for buy pressure. But again, there's not going to be the type of charts, you're going to want to target when you're down that much, looking at the 6-hour or the 24-hour, in terms of the minus on the, on this screen. So this one too, a lot of sell pressure, you got a little buy wick, here, but again, it's something you can watch, but like I said, if you put anything in, your best bet is probably to go ahead and start out with something very, very small in terms of whatever funds, right? And it's going to be essentially $1, $2, $3. Obviously on Solana, the fees are super low. So it's not like on ETH, where if you do any kind of transaction, it's going to cost you, at least 10 or 20 bucks or more. So here, that's where you can get away with it, but like I said, just highlighting, like we saw on the main screen, if you've got some of these tokens, where you're looking at, minus 90, minus 80% on the 24-hour, they're not going to be ones you're really going to want to target unless for some reason you believe that it's got a chance to go ahead and come back up. So that's the reason why when I go to the filters, I typically start out with 10% change, because I don't really care for the minuses, on the 24-hour, especially nothing to the extent of a minus 90%. Now, if it's maybe minus 20, and I've looked at stuff like that before, maybe you could go ahead and look at that, but that's not stuff that I'm typically looking at. So we're going to go ahead and move up here out of the red zone area, here on the 24-hour. And we're going to be looking at stuff that's got at least 10%, so, and I could just go ahead and at least put one filter in just to go, so that we're not looking at anything there in the minuses. So that way we get rid of all the minuses right away. I'll show you what I mean. So you can see no more minuses, right? Because everything now is at least 10% in the 24-hour column. Okay, but we are going to start at the bottom since we always start at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and just open some up and see what we got. All right, and like I said, this is covering all the chains. They got a base one here. We'll open that one up too. So first thing that we're going to do, we're going to take a look at the charts, and we're going to take a look at the socials. We want to make sure that the charts look, somewhat decent, because if they don't look decent, we're not going to waste our time. And if they got, I'm looking for at least at minimum a Telegram. Okay, so this one, not really sure this is going to be worth our time, even though they got the Telegram. This one looks pretty decent. They got the Telegram, so that one checks out. Random 9. This one, I mean, it's okay. It's got the Telegram. We'll keep it. This one here, let's see, let's go to the 15 minutes, maybe an hour. Okay, 4 hour. Okay, all right, that gives us a better idea in terms of what's going on with the chart. The market cap is ridiculous, sitting at 24.8 million. This one's been alive since the 18th of December. Yeah, not interested in this one, especially not where the chart's at. So we're going to move that one along. And typically, what you've noticed, here in the series, especially if you've been with me for any kind of amount of time, is that we're not focusing on, your early stuff. You're typically going to be within a $50K to $500,000 market cap. There are absolutely, exceptions, where if you get in on a token, let's take Chill Guys, since that one's, a very relevant and recent token, where even if you got in at 5 million, okay, that would have still been considered early on that token since it went to the hundreds of millions, okay? But that's not going to be most tokens. Most tokens, you're going to want to be looking at something that's either, I'd say, anything under 1 million to me is going to be pretty early, as far as, whether, because if it goes to like, 10 million, I mean, you get in 1 million, it's still a 10x, right? So, but if you can get in ideally, earlier than that, which is why you typically see me focus on anything from 50,000 on the market cap to 500K, that's going to be the ideal early entry, in my personal opinion. Now, if you want to go ahead and focus on stuff that's a little bit higher on the market cap, than that, that's your prerogative. Do what you're going to do. But for me personally, that's typically going to be the window where I'm going to focus. Is going to be within that 50K to 500K area. All right. So this one we're not going to go ahead and worry about. This one definitely not. It's already dead. I don't even care about the socials on that one. Here we're going to go to the 4 hour. Let's go to the day. This one looks like it's been alive for a while. Yeah, since November 4th. So this one's been alive, for way longer than what I would typically look at. But again, the main screen is unfiltered, so we're going to get everything from fresh to old, and on any chain. So we're not going to worry about this one either. And this one, looks like it's, pretty new. So we got a pretty decent, launch, and then, what essentially looks like a rug. It retraces even further. And now we got some people that are still buying in, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially just looking at the chart, but this is a base token. We don't really do much, with base. I haven't done much with base on this channel, but, through the series, but, again, they do have a little bit of buys, coming in. But I'll tell you what, since it's the only base token that we're looking at, we'll still go ahead and we'll jump in the channel and we'll take a look at it. So here we go. We'll start out with Crow Computer. All right, so let's go ahead, and since they got a Telegram, so here we go. We'll check that so we don't have to constantly, get confirmation. Okay, so they got a portal here. So let's see what's going on. All right, and guys, when you also jump into some of these portals, if you take a look, to the right-hand side, because sometimes when you go ahead and jump into a portal, it'll say something like Bullx, and Bullx is basically somebody trying to go ahead and get your click, to, hopefully, that you use Bullx, so, and that benefits them, so, but also keep in mind that sometimes when you click on some of these portals, it's not what you think it is, so also don't be in such a rush. Just check out what's going on here on the right-hand side, so you know exactly, what group you're joining, okay? So with that being said, this is Crow. This meets my buy window, because again, you guys know if you've been here any amount of time, I have a rule for 10 minutes, right? So got to see a buy within 10 minutes. If I don't, then it's an automatically no for me in terms of, what I look at in terms of filtering what tokens I want to entertain. So this one is at 4:57. Time's almost 5 o'clock for me on my clock. So that's good, but I don't see anything resembling rating or trending yet. We're going to go ahead and look at the pinned messages, see what's going on here. Got a ton of pinned messages, which is encouraging, but what's in those pinned messages? Hopefully what I want to see is something indicating, what they're trying to do in terms of growing the overall exposure of the token. It's also helpful to see, that it looks like somebody from another channel showed this to their community, which helps obviously in the overall exposure of the token. So you do want to see stuff like that. Here, this is obviously, connected to somebody's, X account, so that's cool. They could be talking about, jumping into this particular token. So yeah, there's a lot of communication, here in the pinned messages, so, but again, I don't see anything in terms of what the team's trying to go ahead and do to grow the token, so at least not in the channel. Now, sometimes you got to go back out here just to go and see if they got any boosting going on. They do have a boost here. You see the Thunderbolt, and it's a 500, X boost, so that's obviously helpful, for the token. But I don't, beyond, the boost, I'd want to see something else. I'd want to see trending. I'd want to see rating. I'd want to see something other than just a boost, because as I've mentioned before, boosts are 50-50. I've seen them work, wonders. I've also seen them do absolutely nothing, for the growth of a token. So I wouldn't, say that just because you see a token's being boosted that, hey, that means that's something that you want to entertain. There's got to be other things going on, besides the boost. Because once the boost is over, if that's the only thing getting you buys on the chart, then when the boost ends, then your chart is stale. And when the chart is stale, what happens? People in crypto don't like, stale charts, so when it doesn't move, people go ahead and sell. That's just how it goes. So yeah, that's just where I'm at in terms of what I'm telling you there. The minuses, don't look terrible, but it's minuses across the board. We got minus on the 5 minute, the 1 hour, the 6 hour, and the 24 hour. 6 hours still at 32. That's not really like danger area for me yet. When it gets to the 50 and the 60% mark, that's when I consider, to be really, really bad. So for this one, we'll go ahead and we'll set alerts. I'm not setting it for the over. I'm going to set it for the under. I'm going to go straight to the market cap, and we're going to say under. And here, let's go ahead and let's set it for, I don't know, let's go 1.2 million. So I know that's a pretty decent retracement, from, or deviation, from the current posted market cap. But like I said, I don't really see this one, heading back up, because I don't see anything. I mean, short term, maybe it might go ahead and go up because of the boost, but I see this one essentially coming back down. So that's just, what I'm feeling, as I look at the chart and look at what they're trying to do in terms of overall growth. So we're going to create that alert, or we're going to go ahead and quit this one. And then here with random 9, I mean, right now we're looking at what? We're looking at some retracement. If we go out to the 15 minute, we can see more of what's going on here on the chart. So, I mean, could it retrace a bit more? I mean, we got a block of sells right now. I'm not really seeing a ton of buy pressure. Let's see. And on the 5 minute, we're not seeing any activity, which tells me, hey, it could be in danger of not meeting my 10-minute window. So we're going to go into the Telegram. We're going to see what's going on there. So here we go. We get a portal. All right, great. And we got just over 1,000 members here in the chat. So we're looking for a buy in the last 10 minutes. We do have evidence, of rating, which is good to see. Okay, so, but this is a 501. Okay, all right, so let's keep going up. Let's keep going up. So 455. Okay, still not seeing a buy. Still not seeing a buy. So, okay, so I mean, now at this point, we're heading into the 440s area. So yeah, so no buys. That to me tells me the chart is pretty stale. People don't like to go ahead and see that. So this one we're not going to go ahead and bother with. Even if you're getting good activity, on the raids, if you're not getting buys, essentially you're going to see more and more sells on your chart. And again, like I said, when people start seeing buys, they start getting concerned about the value of their bag, and they don't want to go ahead and have somebody else sell before they do. So again, this is not uncommon to go ahead and see. I expect to see more sells, on this. Maybe you might get a stray buy here and there, but if they're not doing anything to go ahead and get the growth of this moving along, and this is a case where they've got a boost going on this one, but again, that boost is doing absolutely nothing, and it's the same boost they had that we saw in the token prior to this one, right? But the boost isn't doing anything to go ahead and help this token. So here's the thing: if you have a boost, you also have to have a token that people feel pretty good about, that they're bullish about. There has to be a positive sentiment for that token, so even though this is an Elon Musk, oriented, token, that boost is doing absolutely nothing. So you're talking, almost 15 minutes, and there hasn't been a buy on the chart, which tells me that, hey, in this particular case, the boost is not very effective. So they've got to have more going on. Even if they've got rating going on, the boosting and the rating is not doing anything for this. So you've got to go ahead and do some thinking, as you're looking at each of these charts and doing some evaluation as to, does it make sense to give this chart any kind of attention? Does it make sense to take an entry? Does it make sense to even put an alert up, on this one? And so for me personally, I'm not interested in this one. I just don't see that there's enough going on for me to say that this is even worth my time for an alert. Okay, so we'll leave that one alone. Here, the last time we looked at it, we had the buy pressure up here, but we didn't see the sell. Now we see $1,000 sell on this one. And again, looking at the pattern, we see retracement, sell pressure, sell pressure, sell pressure. Get some buy pressure here a little bit, and now it's sell pressure. The sell pressure is outperforming the buy pressure on this chart, but we can still take a look at the Telegram. They do have a small boost going, but it doesn't look like that's helping. We'll see if they've got anything else going on here in this particular channel. So they've got just over 100 members here in it. They've got some, they're base trending, but again, you've got basically a token where it just doesn't seem like there is a lot of interest in it. And sometimes that's going to be the case. It could be the name, it could be a number of different things that go ahead and, contribute to why somebody or why people just aren't really buying the token. You've also got the fact of this, that the admins have restricted my ability to go ahead and send messages, so that here in this case, I think it's just you have to verify. So we'll go to verify here, but we already verified just to enter the portal, right? Which doesn't make a lot of sense, but we'll see if it opens up now. So we just got to go ahead and go back and see if it's open. Okay, let's go back out here. See, this is just odd, right? So we've already gone ahead and we verified once already, and we'll see if they're gonna, this also kind of, I think, can frustrate people as well. And so, you can't talk. No matter how many times you verify, you can't talk. So now we have a closed Telegram, where you can't talk. We don't have any buys going on. The last buy here was at 459, so it still does meet, the 10-minute window for me, but there's no activity, no rating. And this, a lot of times when you see these kind of messages, which I'm glad that we're seeing it right now, attention everybody, you can DM me now if you're still holding. This is obviously evidence of a scam. You go ahead and send this joker, your tokens, you're not going to get them back, so please don't go ahead and fall victim, to anything like that. But yeah, and then I think I saw something about the LP's not locked, so I think there was a message there that I just missed. Oh, why is LP not locked? So that can also, that's considered, FUD or soft FUD, so yeah, for this one in particular, this is one that we're definitely not going to go ahead and take a look at. So, all right, so we're going to go back out here, and this was just looking at the main screen. There's a ton of tokens here. I just opened up some ones from the bottom, so I'm sure there's some better ones, but we're not going to worry about it. Let's go ahead and go straight to looking at some other chains. We'll go and we'll select both Solana and Ethereum. We don't have to go ahead and select any DEXs since we've already got multiple chains selected, and we're going to look at the market cap here. So on the market cap, obviously we're going to start out with the standard 50K. All right, we got multiple chains selected, so we don't need to really go far out on the market cap. We'll just go to 250K and we'll see what we get. If we get a ton of tokens, as always, guys, I'll come back in here. I'll load the market cap so that we can, start to work with less tokens. And then if we need to come back over here, then we will. Pair age, we'll go ahead. I think yesterday we looked at a lot of new stuff, really, really fresh tokens. So let's go at least 10 hours out, and let's go to 120 hours. So that puts us out about a week. Okay, 10 hour or 10% change, and we're going to click apply and see what we get. So this looks like we got a lot. So we've got 90 tokens. That's too much, so we're going to go ahead and lessen the market cap here. I don't want to do anything with the age, but we'll go to 150. All right, so there we are. Looks like we got some less here. All right, so under 50. All right, so that's not terrible, but I think I still want to be less there. So let's go to 100. And I know we got some scams. I already saw the boxes, so. All right, so this is good, 26. All right, so anytime, and I didn't mention this before, especially if you're new, but I do this on every video. Anytime you're looking at these, where the box, has a little question mark in it, it's likely going to be a scam. So these are the ones that we usually don't mess with. So we can see no socials on this. The chart is not what you would expect out of a healthy, 5 to 15 minute chart, especially when this thing's been alive for 17 hours, as you can see right here. All right, so this is definitely a scam. And then this one here, no socials. How long has it been alive? It's been alive for 16 hours. And a chart is not going to look like this after 16 hours. I'm sorry, it's just not going to look like this. So it's likely been a honeypot, for people who decide to go ahead and jump into it. So again, we avoid tokens, where you see the box and the question mark, so don't mess with those. All right, but we're going to start opening up some of the rest of them. So here we go. So Spider-Man, Lumina AI agent, Skeletor, sure. We're not looking at Amanda. Tree Pepe. All right, we'll do that. So here we go. First thing we want to do, we want to go ahead and take a look at the chart. We want to make sure they got socials. This one, no socials, so we're not going to go ahead and mess with it. This one, we got a Telegram. Chart's not terrible, but it is, in decline and retracement. Spider-Man, let's go out to the 1 hour, see what we got going on. Not so confident about this, and they don't have the Telegram, so not going to mess with that one either. And we're going to go to here on the 1 hour. Could be an uptrend, but they don't have a Telegram, as you can see right here, so that's a no for me. And guys, when you're looking at Dexscreener, understand there's so many different tokens, depending on the filters you put in. So when I'm going through this, and it seems like I'm going really quickly, you have to have a process of elimination. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at this stuff for hours and hours and hours. Okay, and that's not the whole purpose. You want to be able to go ahead and get in, get out, make your assessment, take your entries and move on to the next prospects. Okay. And I'm just kind of showing you, what my process is, what my methodology, my lens, you kind of just, sitting over the shoulder with me, as I go over this. Okay. So as I go through it, and I'm doing it pretty quickly, you can see what my process of elimination is. There are just things I don't go ahead and bend on. If you don't have a Telegram, I'm not messing with you. If I haven't seen a buy in 10 minutes, not messing with you. And those are just quick things that can help you to go ahead and eliminate stuff very quickly, as you're trying to go ahead and filter through the tokens that are produced based on the filters that you've set in Dexscreener. So, all right, so we're not going to go ahead and mess with that one. This one as well, website and Twitter, not interested. This one, we do have, all three socials, so we'll go and we'll take a look at it. Now, this one, probably not going to be worth my time just because we're seeing a lot of retracement, on this one. We see we're 5 minute, -5 on the 5 minute, -28 on the 1 hour, and -27 on the 6 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and still check it out just for the, course of the video, so we'll take a look at what's going on here. And also I want to put this other caveat in there, that when you're looking at stuff like today, we haven't really come across, much good stuff. There's going to be days we're going to come across a lot of garbage. Okay. But that's also the power of Dexscreener. You have the ability to go ahead and go in, filter through the mess, but also you're going to come across some stuff from stuff early before you're waiting on, somebody else to go ahead and tell you about it. Now, granted, yes, people consider me an influencer. They consider me to be a coal. But again, I am always telling people, you don't need to go ahead and follow a coal or an influencer to go ahead and find tokens. And that's the reason why I decided to go ahead and do this series, to show you how this goes. Now, if you still want to go ahead and copy my alerts, I've said it in a lot of videos. I don't really care. You can copy the alerts, okay? But I'm also hoping that you get some value out of this so that you know how to go ahead and find your own stuff, too. Okay, so this is the group, all right? So we're not seeing, even just looking at this, for the last, 30 seconds or so, there's no activity, here in the group. And we're talking, this is at 5:05. My clock says 5:12. So for the last 7 minutes, nothing has happened in this channel. Last buy was at 4:51. That's outside of my buy window. So that very quickly right there for you. This is not going to be one we're going to pay any attention to. Okay. So, and what I say before earlier in this video, when people see a stale chart and there's no activity, what do people do? They're going to sell. They're always going to sell. Okay. Unless you're just somebody that really operates off of a lot of hopium, and that's not a good strategy in crypto. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. Not interested in it. Treep. Let's see what's going on here. So again, there are going to be days where we go ahead and we open up tokens and we're going to see some good stuff, or stuff that has a bit more potential. There's going to be days like today where we're just going to go ahead and come across a lot of garbage. It doesn't mean that the process doesn't work. We've had several examples as I've gone through a lot of the videos, and we covered a lot of review where I've highlighted to you so many different examples where we've been able to go ahead and find stuff early. But like I said, we're going to have good days where we produce, and we're going to have days where we don't. Okay. So this one right now, they've obviously gone ahead and welcomed me into the channel. We can go ahead and take a look, here at some of their pinned messages, but not really seeing any activity going on in here. No rating, no trending, none of that. Still, nobody else is coming to the chat. They have a boost going on. Let's go and let's check it out. They got a small boost going on, a 30, so, and again, I think their smallest one when you do boost is like a 10. So, I mean, a 30 is not going to do anything. We already saw a token, with a 500 boost that did absolutely nothing. Okay. So, so again, the boost will not necessarily save a token. And, again, you got nothing going on here, and we could have even looked here. You got nothing going on the 5 minute. You got nothing going on the hour. Okay, so on the hour chart, there hasn't been a buy on this chart in an hour. Okay, so that should tell you something, that this is right away. And this is also another area that you can go ahead and use to make a quick decision. If you don't see anything going on here in the green and the 5 hour and the 1 hour, it's probably not something you want to go ahead and focus on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close this one out as well. Now, what else do we have going on here? Let's open up some others. You know, E equals MC Hammer. I don't know if I'm interested in that. So we'll do that. EggDev, let's go ahead. I saw another token called EggDev 2. Okay, Pepidus Nero, let's take a look. Johnny AI, sure. Doge Terminal AI. Doge and Terminal, I mean, that's always, you know, pretty decent. That always seems to have some level of potential. Marcel, not really sure what that is. Swap fee, I don't know what that is. Sean AI, let's see. I don't really care for the 55 here, so we'll keep these. All right, so let's see what's going on here. All right, so we see maybe a small, you know, evidence of a small uptrend, you know, possibly forming, you know, but we could be faked out by that, you know. So you go ahead and see some buys start to form, and then somebody go ahead and just dump a bunch of token that didn't get out earlier. So, but we'll go and we'll keep it open. And then looking at EggDev, not a lot going on here. No buying activity here on the 5 minutes, and we've also got, you know, very little activity here on the 1 hour. So not really sure that's going to be one to go and take a look at, but we'll keep it open anyway, just out of sheer curiosity. Pepidus Nero, here nothing going on the 5 minute or the 1 hour. So just like I showed you guys before, so I'm not even going to mess around with going in the channel. So because you can see there's no buying activity on this chart. So we're going to go ahead and leave this one alone. Johnny, let me see here. They've got the socials, you know, but again, not a lot going on here in the 5 minute and the 1 hour. Okay, so that it's probably not worth our time either. So we're going to go ahead and close this one out. And then here we got some activity on the 5 minute and the 1 hour. Okay, Doge AI. What was this? Doge Terminal AI, the one I was saying, you know, hey, you combine Doge, you combine, you know, Terminal, even AI, you know, is a meta that doesn't really seem to be going away. This is probably one we want to take a look at. All right, Marcel, and this one, I think we looked at this one. I think we looked at this one yesterday. So, and if so, there should have been, okay, so I don't know why I didn't set an alert from this. It's probably based on what I saw on the channel. So, tell you what, we'll keep it open because I don't remember what I said in regards to this one yesterday. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and check into the channels, you know, right now, see what we got going on. So, here we go. We got our portal. So we got 661 members. We do have evidence of rating going on, and you can see here with the activity. All right, I've mentioned before, anytime you're going to get in the neighborhood of 20 likes, you know, on a raid, that's actually pretty good, you know. So, but the question is, when's our last buy? It was 3 minutes ago. All right, so we got some stuff going on here, you know, in regards to their pinned messages, rate my drip, you know. So, I mean, I do like this one. Looks pretty interesting. Okay. Got a little bit of activity, you know, going on since we've been in, but not much, you know. So let's go back to the chart. So, but keep in mind, do they have a boost going on this one? No boost, okay. But keep in mind, yes, you do have rating activity. Yes, you do have buys, but there's nothing else. You got no boost, you got no trending. So do I believe this is headed back up? I don't, actually. I think what's going to happen is this is going to go ahead and go into retracement, you know. So, but we're going to set an alert anyway. Yeah, so I think this is one where you could probably fool some folks, you know, into going ahead and jumping into this one. But I would think that more than likely, you know, and I don't know for certain, okay, but I do believe that you're more likely to go ahead and see sells on top of these buys than more buys on top of them, just because rating alone is not going to go ahead and recover a chart from the bottom levels like this, unless you've just got a really good meta and theme behind it. Okay, so for this one, and like I said, I could be wrong, you know, but we'll see. So we're at 59K on this one. So here's the market cap going under. I'm going to set an under alert on this. So I think let's set for 45K, and the post market cap is at 59. All right. So like I said, I'm not so certain this is going to go ahead and head back up. I think, and this has been sitting here for a little bit, you know, not for the 10 minutes yet, but I do believe that we're probably going to go ahead and see some sells, you know, on this one before more over than buys, you know. So all right, so we're closing this one out. And EggDev, let's take a look at the channel on this one. I think I've looked at this, but not here on the channel. So, all right, so let's see here. Okay, so this one already automatically looks like I'm going to have to go ahead and cut this one. So But yeah, I mean, there's some stuff going on, here. What was the last buy? 453, so last buy it's outside of my buy window. So we're going to go ahead and leave this one alone. So let me go back out here, closing this one. So looking at EggDev, I saw some stuff, in the channel where I'm going to have to go ahead and make a cut on that one. So I'm not going to be able to show you what was in the channel, but the last buy, is outside the buy window on this one. So we're not going to go ahead and set any alerts on it anyway. Okay, and so going to Doge AI, let's go ahead and check out the channel, see what's going on here. Okay, so, and we can see we got the verification. We got just over 400 members here in the channel. So when was the last buy here? Let's check out the last buy. Last buy was at 512, so that was 7 minutes ago. Okay, so it's still within my buy window. Okay, and they say that these are their latest agent updates, which is good to see, okay, and good to see that they're giving you essentially like a mini roadmap, so they're giving you a compliment, things that they've already done, and they're giving you stuff that's coming up, okay. I like that in terms of communication. What else we got going on here in the pinned messages area? Okay, so they're talking about this week they're going to expand the news bot to Instagram, make sure to drop a follow, okay, and so, but other than that, let's go ahead and go back out here. Do we see any evidence of a boost? No boosts, no raids, no trending. So, and the last buy was 7 minutes ago. Do I think this is going to go ahead and come down some more? I absolutely do. But again, I could be wrong. But more than likely, because they're not doing anything to go ahead and grow the exposure of the token, then I do believe this one will probably go ahead and come down. So we will go ahead and set an alert on this one. It's just going to be an under alert. The posted market cap, we're going to set that at 77K, because that's what we see here in the tab. This one will catch up. Remember, especially if you're new, there's always a delay here between what's here and what's in the tab, but the tab doesn't always line up with what's here. So, but in this case, it does. So for the under, we're going to go ahead and set this at 50K. All right. So it's not a real big deviation from the posted market cap, but I believe it's coming down. So Marcel, let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's see what we got going on. All right. So we're going to go ahead and verify to get in here. I'm almost certain we checked this one out before. Okay, so what do we got going on? Last buy. Let's check out the last buy. Last buy. Okay, I don't see a buy. Where we at? 508. So yeah, right away I can already tell you this one's outside the buy window. That's probably what happened. That's probably why we didn't go ahead and set any alerts on this one, because the buys are not really coming in very quickly. I mean, we can still see we're getting buys, but like I said, when you're not really seeing a lot of buy activity, and we can see 0% on the 5 minute, 5%, the 1 hour, that tends to lend itself more to sells, than buys on the chart. So I would imagine this one, unless they go ahead and put some kind of catalyst, in place, you're probably going to be staying at these bottom levels, for a while or lower, because when people kind of get, sick of just holding the bag on this, they're going to go ahead and sell, in my personal opinion. So let me go ahead and pause this real quick. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and that's going to do it, for today's video. But as always, I'm glad that you guys decided to go ahead and join me again for another day in the Dexscreener series. We didn't really come across a lot of good stuff today, but again, we're going to have days where we go ahead and we see some good stuff, and we're going to have days where we don't, so that's just kind of the ebbs and flows of crypto. But as you can see through the review, we obviously have caught some stuff, and we've had other days where we've caught, where I've reviewed, other tokens that we've been able to go ahead and catch early, so if I see anything, overnight, where any triggers, take place, or I come across anything, that maybe we didn't cover here in the video, that or something that I want to go ahead and put on your radar, I'll definitely go ahead and do that as always. So, but you guys enjoy the rest of your day. If you are anywhere where you're getting a bunch of snow, like I said yesterday, you guys be safe, and just try to stay warm. With that being said, we'll see you next time, in the next video on the Dexscreener series. You guys enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.